The hills
Good morning.
are alive with the sound of music. Ah,
You mean all the song of your
la, la,
your
la,
dress?
Good morning, good morning, good morning to you. It is Wednesday. What are you going to do?
Ooh, that was a rhyme.
Ta-da!
Beautiful. Well, good morning.
I don't know why I'm doing this.
I don't know either.
Good morning.
So how are you kids?
Hi.
Goof morning. Yes,
Good
indeed.
morning. Yep. It's Wacky Wednesday, kids.
Wacky Wednesday, indeed.
Wacky Wednesday.
So, how are you kids?
How am I this
What's-
awake at
what's new and
6:30? That's
exciting?
what I want to know.
I do not know.
I don't know. I feel like my
Because-
dress needs a shoulder.
Hmm.
It just needs to just
It's like a scarf.
keeps going. Wow.
Does this clash? Do these patterns? Is this too much?
Maybe. Is this too much? Never.
No.
Says a girl who actually spent her whole life feeling like, I think I'm too much. So that's really interesting. You're being told you're too much, tone it down, you're obnoxious, you're too loud, you're too this.
Just slow down.
You're too this, you're too that. And I believed that for a really long time. I'm like, oh man, I'm too much. I need to dim it down.
Mm.
However, you can see you're welcome. I got over it.
Your humility is
Now I
only
just let
exceeded
it
by your
all fly.
perspicacity and effulgence.
I don't know what any of those words mean.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I want to because I feel like they weren't nice.
That was very nice.
Okay. So see, I'm making up a story. Good
Just 'cause
morning, everybody.
That reminds me of, did you see, remember 40-Year-Old Virgin, that scene with the, I forget the actor's name, who was the black guy who was this, came in to, like he was a salesperson, and then the other guy came, I think it was, was it
I don't
Chris
know,
Rock?
guys. Do you know anything?
But
about
he
this
was
thing?
like using big words. He's like, you're using words I don't understand, which means you're insulting me. And then he got really upset because he was using big words and got really upset about it. Want to hear a cool story that proves faith is there? Yeah, throw it in there, Steve.
All right.
And
And
we'll get to that.
yes,
So,
Douglas, take us away on this wonderful
who?
Wednesday.
Yes, who here remembers the show Davy and Goliath? Davy and Goliath, an old
We're
claymation.
not preaching today, by the way.
No, we're not.
Okay.
We're not. It's just an example of a great question that can be used. And when you dig deep with us with our NLP trainings and our coaching trainings and even our speakers trainings, when we start, talking about other than conscious influencing, that is there's a great question in there. So Davy and Goliath was a Christian-based show, and Davy was the little boy. He was 9, 10, 11 years old. Then he had his talking dog, Goliath. And basically the question that would always come up whenever Davy came to a situation that he was at a precipice of a decision, Goliath would say, "But Davy, what would Jesus do?" And the question would then prompt you to step.
Voice.
You got to see the show. That's how we talk. We're going to put the.
I can't
Yes,
see the show
we're going to
because
have
the
to.
voice.
No, you're going to love it.
All right.
And what that would force Davy to do was to step into the avatar of Jesus and then ask the question from that perspective. If I were Jesus, what would I do? And it's a powerful idea. So who are we putting there? Like, who are your influencers? And here's what's interesting. Actually, I'm going to show you an action figure. The Sigmund Freud action figure. That's pretty cool, right? So,
He's kind of, I don't want to get on a trip, but go ahead.
what do you mean?
Well, I'm not sure his stuff still holds up, but that's okay.
No, it actually.
Some of it.
It does. It changed our world because
it did, but a lot of it.
No. The thing that changed our world with Sigmund Freud was the understanding of the other than conscious mind,
right.
Your unconscious mind, and how it is influenced by your environment, by the people you surround yourself with, by what you're exposed to. So one of the things that he understood was that we're getting bombarded with all this information that is influencing us. but we're doing it other than consciously. So if we can consciously start using those influencers, so if there's a person who's getting results that you want in any area of life, let's say it's in business, let's say you were like a big fan of Richard Branson, and you're struggling with a situation business-wise, you could actually just sit and ponder, if you've done enough research about Richard Branson, and go, well, what would Richard Branson do? And then that question alone will start directing your focus, will start forcing you to ask different questions and try on different experiences, which will then influence some of your decision-making, which is a powerful, powerful story.
Lots of comments today.
Good Lord.
Wow. Holy cow.
Wow,
I'm glad you're
Stephen.
better, Stephen.
Thank you for
My
finding that
goodness.
blood. Good Lord. Wow, congratulations. Amazing.
Wow.
Yes. Miracles do happen.
The people, here's what's really interesting is that there are people that we really love and admire and we really look up to. And I want you to know for sure, like if you have people, I mean, I have like Wonder Woman, who are my avatars, right? Wonder Woman's one, Oprah's one. There are these people, and if I ask myself, well, what do I know I'm not Wonder Woman, right? But what do I admire about her? What qualities do I love about her? Well, I love that she's bold, or that she's courageous, or that she can get to the truth, or I love Oprah's authenticity, or whatever it is. And so if I love these qualities, what I know for sure is my ability to witness them in another human being is because I already possess them inside myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes we don't know that we have those qualities, right? So we feel like, oh, that's outside of me. Oh, I wish I had your thing. But if you can recognize it, it's in there within you. It's because we like people who remind us of us, right? We like people who we know at some level are like us, right? It's why couples end up looking alike. I don't know if we do or not, but so think about that. Who are the people that you really most admire, and what is it about them that really resonates with you? And pick your top 3. And sometimes I'll do this exercise with my clients where I'll have them list out all the qualities, and we'll name that avatar, and we'll say, okay, so when she or he is in kind of peril or a tough situation, we say, well, what would so-and-so do that you've now named? And lots of times they just name them themselves because that's their truest essence. And so when I think about WWJD, that question, like for me, it's like, what's the most loving thing you can do right now, right? Because for me, that was like the exemplar of love, the most loving thing. But also, here's the thing I know about Jesus, and I don't know lots about Jesus, but I know this for sure, that the one thing that Jesus had that a lot of us don't have is he knew who he was or whose he was. And so he did not question his power, his value, what he was born on earth to do, his purpose, his potential. He didn't question those things. And so he was the epitome of self-love. And so that's why he was able to do all the wonderful things that he did in the world, is because there was no doubt or disbelief in him. He knew who he was. And so for us, I think, wow, how can now I have to ask myself a question. I say, okay, great. I want to walk that way. I want to walk with that amount of certainty and confidence in the world. I want to know who I am or whose I am. I want to know what I'm capable of. My question for me when I get stuck and I forget who I am and what I'm capable of is, if I had nothing to prove, what would I do? If I had nothing to prove to anybody, what would I do in this moment? And 9 times out of 10, it's not going in and getting in and fighting with somebody who's not worth your time. It's not wasting time on activities that don't serve you. It's, if I had nothing to prove, I would probably just do the thing I believe in the most. If I knew my value, what would I do? That's another great question. Would I leave that thing today? Would I break up with that thing? Thanks for the love, guys. If I knew my value, what would I do? And Jesus came as an example of your and mine and our truest human potential. That's all that is. I mean, I don't know, it's not a Bible sermon, but that's all that is. It's just like the living example in flesh of you and I, if we claimed our true birthright, our power, our destiny,
Well, yeah, and if we start going down a path of the other experiences that were born out of that is, you've heard of, everyone may have heard of agnostic, which is sort of kind of going, well, there's, something, I just don't know what it is. Then there's Gnostic. So Gnosticism was sort of if you look at like the Dead Sea Scrolls and things of that nature, like the hidden teachings, the hidden gospels of the Bible, that those were the Gnostic Bibles. And essentially what that was is Gnosticism is knowledge, from the Greek word of knowledge, knowing thyself. And that's really all it was based in understanding who we are as people. And Gnosticism is knowing thyself, right? Step one, know thyself. Right. Step two, be thyself. And then step three, well, actually in no particular order, is love thyself. And when you're able to incorporate all of those, when you're really able to truly love yourself, that means that you know yourself, which means you're just being yourself. Or if you will, you just be yourself. That allows you the opportunity to love yourself and know thyself. There's no order, but they're intertwined.
When you know yourself, what that really means is not just like, oh, I know myself, I know what I like, I know what I don't like. It means I know my truest absolute potential without limits. I know my real value in this world. I know that my uniqueness and my likeness, and I appreciate all of it. I know the power that I hold should I choose to wield it, right? It's like, now I'm going to be like the Avengers, but because then the Hulk cup can't come out.
I thought you didn't like
that. I know, I kind of do.
What are you doing referencing
but like,
it now?
Where all of a sudden, like, the Hulk can't come out. He, like, doesn't know how to access. He's like, come on, jerk, trying to get the Hulk.
Oh, I mean, in Infinity War?
Yeah, in Infinity War. But, so, like.
You know why he wouldn't come out, right?
Fear.
Yeah.
Good. Right. Thank you.
Good job.
So we all have that, whether it's, whatever that force is within us, and we all have access to it. So it's not something we have to acquire outside of us. It's like, WWJD, Jesus came to tell you, it's already there in you. You are me. You're going to do what I've done. You can do what I've done. We're all the same. And so I think that we fear our own power more than we do, because we fear we don't deserve it, or we have to earn it, or we're not quite sure if people will leave us if we do reach our fullest potential. But again, if you had nothing to prove, and you weren't afraid to be too much or be all, whatever, show up to the world and just kind of like be your silly self or your serious self or whatever is really most authentically you, and just, be unapologetically yourself, for the first time. And if today was that day, you're like, Wacky Wednesday, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm just going to be my goofball self.
They used to do that at Ellie's school, her daycare. They had, what was it? What day was that? And they would just like wear silly clothes or whatever.
Oh, what an amazing thing to wake up to on my day off. Thank you. Thank you, Ashlyn. That is so sweet.
So that's the other question when it comes into who are your influencers. Who's influencing you to not be your fully expressed self? Who's influencing you to not be authentic? Are you, like Heidi shared, are you worried about proving something? Are you worried about what it's going to look like? What are people going to say? And the truth is that the people who are the most happy, the most successful, are the ones who don't care what other people are thinking. They're not running that filter. Their influencers are other people who are fully self-expressed, who are willing to just go out there and say whatever, be whatever, right? The old Dr. Seuss quote, be who you are and feel what you feel, because those who mind do not matter, and those who matter do not mind.
Well, the thing is, though, is that's a really great quote, and I love that quote too. And the challenge that we have is like, we can all be like, I don't care what people think. I don't care what people think. I'll be out there. I'll be myself. Well, you care what your mom thinks, okay? You care what your husband thinks. And if those people have negative opinions of you, or their negative influence on you, that will paralyze you. It's not the world thinks. It's that one person whose opinion you value that scares the shit out of you if they actually see you and then put the kibosh on it because they're not proud of you, or they don't believe in you, or they watch you fail. It's like Rachel Hollis has said, you're not afraid of failure, you're afraid of them watching you fail, right? And that I believe that's true. And not everybody is the person that looks like they're supportive, but they're not supportive, right? They look like from the outside looking in, oh yeah, but that's not the reality.
That's the other than conscious influence where you don't.
Tell you the poop story?
Sure.
The one I told you at the pool the other day. We were at the swimming pool.
Oh, sure, yeah.
It's a John Maxwell story. Shocker. But there was this bird that was in Canada, and for the first winter, he was like, you know what? I'm tired of flying south for the winter. I don't want to do that anymore, so I'm just going to stay put in the winter, and it doesn't look that hard. Like, I can do it. Well, come November, he started freezing to death, and he was like, I better go. I better get a head. I better go. So he starts flying down south for the winter, and all of a sudden it starts like raining, and it freezes his wings, and he's like, oh God, and he's just like frozen midair. So he goes, I'm just going to plummet to my death. So he does the spiral down, and he lands in a barn and a bunch of hay. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh God, just, this is horrible. And a big cow comes over and takes a little plop right on the bird. And he's in a big steaming pot. I know it's gross. It's 6:30. What the heck am I telling you the story for? It's a good, just stay with me. So he poops on him. It. And he's just like crying. This bird is like, I can't believe it. This is terrible. And then all of a sudden he notices, oh my God, it's warm. And he's starting to come back to life. And he's like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing in the world. This poop is like saving my life. So then he starts singing, and he gets so happy, and he's singing, and there's a cat. And the cat goes, is that a bird? Do my ears deceive me? And he goes over to the bird, and he starts licking off the poop. And the bird's like, holy cow, man, everybody's so kind. Wow, I was misjudged it. This cat's licking the poop off. And then the cat ate the bird. So not everybody that poops on you or criticizes you or gives you advice is out to get you. And sometimes the people that are taking the poop off of you aren't doing it for the right motives. And whenever you're doing your own business and being happy and succeeding in life, sometimes it's better to just keep your mouth quiet and not be singing it from the rooftops, right? Lots of lessons in that story. So well, and you're welcome. Yeah. Who doesn't need a little poop story before 7? We all do, right? We can all benefit.
And that's the wisdom, is knowing when to sing your praises, knowing when to receive the information, and knowing when to question, right? And that's always the best thing. And, the question, who are your influencers? What would Jesus do? What did that really mean? The poop fell on me. Did the cow want to do that? Did someone do it because they had negative intent? Or could it just happened? And there's the power within all of these conversations, and then noticing the people you hang with, the company you keep. They are influencing you. They are influencing how you think. They're influencing how you perceive things. What opportunities you have. You don't go to also a person on their 5th marriage and get passion and marital advice. There's just probably not the place you want to go for that. You don't go to the broke, financial advisor and go, where should I put my money right now? What do you think about the economy? Right. So it's really important that you're looking at where you consciously put in yourself, and also guard your other than conscious, right? Which is why, going to personal development events, going to conferences and seminars is such a great place to infuse yourself, because you're very likely, your odds are, there's people everywhere, but the odds are that in an event like that, where people are going to learn and grow, they're going to be more in that mindset, that pathway to raising their standards, to having, higher values, to want out and support each other. Whereas if you go to I don't even know where you would go to find, your local watering hole and hang out with people complaining and make that your hang and get your advice from people whose life is, not so exciting.
So bringing it back full circle, dovetail, piggyback, bring it back, bring it around, wagon around, circle back. That was a bit of a tangent. Circle back. Yeah. So better questions, right? Tony Robbins always says, if you want a better quality of life, ask better questions. And so instead of, asking what's wrong, a lot of people have that primary question, what's wrong with the situation? What's wrong with me? I wrote a book about it called What's Wrong with Me. But I think that what we realize is that if we can ask better questions, like, what's the most loving thing I can do right now? If I had nothing to prove, what would I do? If I knew my true value in this moment, what would I decide? Even questions are just such a brilliant thing. I ask this question once every 3 months. If I had all the money in the world, what would I be doing with my time? If I had all the money in the world, if I was allowed, if I gave myself permission, what would I sign my own permission slip for? These kinds of activities will help you get presented to the deepest desires of your heart. Also doing that exercise where you look at your avatars and say, what do you most admire about them? Write all the qualities down and then circle maybe the top 3 or 5 that are a running theme between all these characters, right? Maybe what keeps coming up is courage, love, authenticity, all these different things. And so then you just make that your mantra. I am courageous. I am authentic. I am the loving. And then you start to live into this avatar and create your own example. You have to be really diligent and steadfast, like Doug said, about once you make a decision that you're going to behave a new way or change your perspective or live this kind of life based upon this new philosophy of I'm ready to reach my fullest potential, then you need to fill that mind up and guard against. Be a farmer in your own mind and weed the garden. Pull out the weeds that are in there, and sometimes the weed's your mother, right? We talk about this all the time, but it's worth remembering.
We talk about your mother being the weed.
Yeah, or your husband being a weed in your own garden. Sometimes we need the message over and over again, and you know, I can get resistant too. I can say, well, I already know that, or I've already heard that, or that's nothing new. But the greatest gap in life is between knowing and doing, you know? And so until you're walking the talk and you're waking up every morning and you're living into this, we need to keep hearing it, Dad.
Well,
pray that
not
you hear
only
it a different
that,
way. Pray that
actually,
you hear it the way you need to hear it.
Not only that, think of, you know, I quite like kitchen knives, like the Japanese and the German, like the cool, like really sharp knives. And if you notice, those knives that are super, super expensive, you got to sharpen them all the time. If you look at a great chef, when do they sharpen the knife and when do they hone the knife? Every single time they use it. They hone it right before they use it, and then they do their thing, they cut it, and then before they put it away, they clean it, they hone it, and they put it back in the sheath. And same is true for you and I, where we are sharp instruments. We are extremely brilliant. And if we don't keep our axes sharp, our mind sharp, we don't keep our garden clean and nurtured, the weeds take it, the rust takes it, all of that. So even when we do know it, that doesn't mean we stop doing the things that brought us to this point. That doesn't mean we stop learning. That doesn't mean we stop reminding ourselves, because we can get a little slow. We can get a little into that. And those 3 words, the I know that, are killers. Because we may know it in one context, but sometimes we struggle in another context, or we say we know it and then don't apply it because we already know that. You know, I ate a salad today, therefore, you know, I'm going to be healthy. I walked a mile today, therefore I could do a marathon. And it's a discipline, it's a practice, not a diet.
I'm going to go get Ellie.
Okay.
Hey, Terry. Hey, girl. Hey. Learn, grow, and share.
That's right. And to answer your question, actually, sometimes Heidi and I, we had this conversation multiple times. Like, you know, if we won lottery, to talk of what Heidi was sharing, if we won the lottery and we had, you know, millions upon millions of dollars all of a sudden flood our experience, what would we do different? And the answer was pretty much, well, we do exactly what we're doing now. We would just, you know, pay off our, you know, opportunities, you know, do some more investments and that kind of thing. But we'd be doing the exact same work. We'd be probably creating, you know, some cool foundations and all of that. But the truth is that we'd be still contributing the way we do now, adding value, teaching, loving on people.
You're grumpy pants this morning. All right.
Rumpelstiltskin in the house.
Hey, do you remember this morning Elevie woke up in kind of a bad mood and we said, are you having a good mood or a bad mood today?
I'm having a bad mood.
Can you come up and say hi and we can talk about it on here? It's all right. So anyway, we talked about how to change her mood from a bad mood to a good mood. And she did it in the morning. And so she woke up and she said, yeah. So we said, how do we do that? Well, we talked about what we're grateful for and asked her, what are you grateful for? What are you grateful for? And then she was smiling and happy. But here's the thing. You don't do that one time, right?
Yeah,
if you woke up on the wrong side of the bed today, you might have to go, oh, it's back again. What am I grateful for? And continue to...
I already asked that question.
Yeah, I already did that once, but you have to continue to do it over and over and over again sometimes. And that's the habit. That's the habit of retraining yourself and being able to master your emotions and You know, it's a discipline. It's a spiritual practice.
And at first, it's going to be challenging, and it's not going to be natural the first time. So it's normal for us to have those moments, and then it ebbs and flows, right? So then we feel good for a minute, and then we notice another thing that was, oh, wait a minute, I'm not feeling great. And then we, you know, when you work with us even deeper, we find the secondary gains and what's really going on about that, and what are you really getting out of all of this, and so forth. And you can turn it around just like that. If you guys remember Golden Child, just like that. So with that being said, please, if you have any questions you'd like us to address, any topics, any content that you want to have covered by yours truly, the three of us here, because Ellie has wonderful opinions as well. Oh, she's tired. Please send them in. As you know, we have the YouTube channel, Revolutionary Growth TV. We also created a group, mission-driven entrepreneurs, speakers, and coaches. And that group, this will be in that group, but also this is an opportunity for us all to support each other, share resources, do some additional trainings and conversations specifically around building your businesses and so forth. So please join us. If this was helpful, please share this, spread the love, as it were. Help us be part of your journey to change the world.
Do you want to do your little song to end? You said you wanted to do that, or no? How are you feeling? That's okay. We're going to just keep
Daddy,
working on
what is that?
What is this?
Sigmund Freud.
The Sigmund Freud action figure. See that?
Can you take it out?
No, we keep it in the box.
Sometimes
This is a
people keep toys in a
collector's
box,
item.
believe it or not.
Yes, the Sigmund Freud. This is not a doll.
Then
This is an action figure.
Why do you have to keep it in there?
Keep it nice.
Yeah, because
All
this
right.
is very special.
Well, we're going to say goodbye, okay?
Can you share it with me?
Love you guys. Hope you
Okay.
have a great day today. Be
Can you
bold, be
can
courageous, be yourself.
Daddy,
Go
Daddy,
for it.
Yes.
Daddy,
Okay.
Yes.
can you share it with me and Mommy?
Yeah, I can share it with you in the box. Okay,
Bye-bye,
we love you
guys.
for who you are and who you aren't. We will
Have a
see
great
you
day.
tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye now.